What's up? What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's a sad day. We gotta pull the motor out the duster. I guess let's get to it. Now, why are we pulling the motor, you may ask? Well, it's because of these clips. The converter is way too tight. Way too tight. Now, typically, converter's way too tight. You just pull the transmission, take the converter out, go have it redone, buy a new converter, whatever. We don't have that luxury because when I set this motor in, we have an adapter plate from our big block mopar to the Power Glide, and it's got studs for the Power Glide to get on. Can't get the transmission out without pulling the motor, so kind of kicked ourselves in the butt, but we're going to turn it into a positive. When we got the motor out, we're going to go ahead, we're going to check a few rod bearings, maybe a main bearing, I don't know. We'll have to pull the girdle. Not a big fan of that, so but we can get it out and get this converter ready to take back to PTC and have them loosen it a lot, because as you see, when you let go of the trans brake, it bogged the car down and it's dropping a lot on the shift, like 1700 on the shift. No bueno, can't do that. So we're gonna have to loosen it up. Shouldn't be that hard. Say probably about 4 hours. I just had to pull the car out and put it back in frontwards, so it's gonna be a minute before we start working on it because things are hot. So we're gonna let it cool down, wait for Dad to get here, and then I guess we'll pull off the bumper, the grill, and the turbo kit and drive shaft and everything else and get to work. So without further ado, let's go. First thing we did, take off the boost control lines. Up next, we're gonna go ahead and pop off these breather tubes. If you don't know what these are, this is regular cars, you know, have a breather on the valve cover. Well, this one runs all the way back to our tank in the back because it's got a lot of blow by because the rings are gapped very, very good. So get these off, probably pull off the bumper, the grill, then the turbo kit, and then we'll jack her up, get the drive shaft, shifter cable, transmission lines. We'll drain the engine and the transmission, take off the intake, I guess the wires, take off the starter, and then we got 4 transmission crossmember bolts, 2 mid plate bolts, 2 motor plate bolts, and that's it. And she should come out. So the time now is 12:30. I'm hoping to be done by like 4. So let's get it. So we're an hour and a half in. Turbo kit's off. Everything's unhooked from the transmission. Drive shaft's out. All the fluids are drained. Realistically, all we got left is pull the intake, disconnect all the wiring, torque converter bolts, take off the oil pan, and this baby's coming out. So we're close. About another hour, we'll be going to the backyard to get the cherry picker. So that's as of this point, all that stuff stays on, besides the alternator wire and the starter wire. And so we got to disconnect our Jesus Christ, our cam sensor, crank trigger, and coils, and then the intake's got to come off. But we're close. We're getting there. Oh man, it's really not that bad. It's just the drive shaft gave me a fit. But It's out. Matter of fact, it's right there. Good old Wiles. So, not much left. Take a quick break. Go get some tea. And then jump right back on it. Alright, so excuse the wind noise. The fan's blowing. It's like 100 degrees in here. But looking up the duster skirt, everything's unhooked from the transmission. We gotta take out torque converter bolts. Now, I had a short that did pretty good. Got like, I think 12,000 views. And everybody's like, you're gonna knock the nose off the starter. It needs timing. Well, it's on the EFI, okay? And it's got 14 degrees while cranking. And then after it sees 600 RPMs, then it goes up to 38 is our base timing. And then obviously you pull for boost. And people are like, oh, it needs a starter. Well, it's got a Power Master. And they said, you're also going to knock the nose off. It don't have a nose. What that was a 16 volt battery that only had 15 volts in it. It was dead. So we had to charge it up, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and all we really got left is I'm gonna knock out these converter bolts, and I gotta take the oil pan off because it doesn't clear the steering rack or the K member. It's got an AJE K member, but like this, I messed up with this pan. I should have got a different pan. Although it had been hit by something at some point. That's pretty deep. It's hard for y'all to see it, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and knock these converter bolts loose. And I guess the starter wire, alternator wire, and then we got take off the oil pan. We got 4 transmission cross member bolts. Then we have bed plate bolts, and then engine bolts or engine plate bolts, and then she's out. So I'm gonna quit yapping and get back to work. Took us a little over 3 hours. Bam. It's a pain to undo the throttle cable, so I just take the intake off, set it up here, and there's the converter. Got transmission out, motor out. Everything looks good. However, check this out. This is our converter, and hopefully you can hear this. If you heard that, ain't nothing supposed to be that loose in the converter. Alright, so on second thought, I just grabbed this converter. That's a known good one. And it does make the same noise, just not as violently. So I don't know if anything's actually wrong with that one. I just don't know. So, I mean, it's got to go to PTC regardless. So we'll see. It might not be broken. Might just need to be restalled. So, yay, maybe? We hope. So, I think I broke it somehow. Not sure how, but we're taking it to PTC anyway. Have them loosen it up and see if anything's broken there, which I really think there is, which would explain a lot. So, but it's a radial. It's like a radio prep. It's 1445. I did not make enough power. I shouldn't make enough power to hurt that. One of the data logs, just the last one I looked at, a little over 1,000 horsepower worth of fuel. That typically translates pretty well, but I mean, we still got a lot of boost to go. But the problem is we can't leave with it. That's the problem we're having with this converter. I can turn up the boost down track all I want to. That's fine. But I can't leave. It's too tight and it couples. We needed to slip up to our RPM and then, then couple, then start climbing. So, I mean, nobody's fault. We just thought that it was going to make a lot more power. Not too many people have the same combination as what I do, so we're kind of the test mules. I can't go ask somebody else, what they got. Either they got a 727 or they got a turbo 400. If they got a boosted big block, not too many people have a power glide. Nobody else has my cam, And then, other people running 410 gears, and I got a 354 because I want to keep the RPM down a little bit. I want it to trap somewhere in the 150s, preferably higher if we can, if the block can stay together. But that's like 68, 6900, 7200 RPM, and that's pushing it for a stock block. What we really need is a block and a good crank. And if I got a good crank, then I'd get some, some aluminum rods. So really, it needs a block, crank, and rods. And then I wouldn't be afraid to push it 40, 50 pounds, if we had the heads O-ringed. Anyway, I'm rambling, jibber-jabbering around. Let's see what we can do. That's going to be it for this video. Nice, short. Y'all see me put this motor in, so I didn't film like a whole bunch taking it out. Next video, we're probably going to get this thing up on the engine stand. We'll have to pull off the headers, the valve train, and we're going to take the heads off and look at the head gaskets and this valley pan. Get it to seal right, because Jesus, it don't seal. It's still leaking, and yeah. I'm probably going to paint the motor too, because that orange, it looked good when I did it, but now I'm like, oh man, it needs to be black or something. Transmission, been great. Pulled out the input shaft, and it looks fine. The fluid is beautiful. It came out still bright red. Like I said, I only had 13 passes on it. I did have a problem though with the magnetic paint, or the magnetic drain did have a lot of material on it. Now, that could be just because it's new and I haven't changed the fluid yet. Don't know. Before it goes back in, I might change the filter and on this, because I'm already going to put new fluid in it. So a filter's a couple of bucks. Might as well just put on a filter. I don't know if it's the same for a stock one or what, but we'll find out. We're going to have to shim out the starter. We never really saw. I mean, it's close. It's fine, but we're just going to shim it out a little bit more. And I think that's about it. Pretty simple process, really. Yeah, that's going to do it for us here. Duster's down for 3-ish weeks. Won't be bad. We'll get it back in, and hopefully it does what we want it to do. So thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.